Shamanic flow. Minister BT on the track. Back at it. What surveyeth, and he do I prayeth, to do as he saith. I be about that word, you feel me? All praises. I continue to exhort my brethren that they receiving blessings from learning plenty lessons. Be off the herbal essence from all of life's oppression, battling thoughts of dark depression, false confessions, feeling suppression, courts in session. Ask the question, how long will my life continue to be this way? I cried real tears when my mama sang a better day. Just hold on is what my pastor used to say. But if that's all that it takes, then why my people continue to go astray? The church is barely breathing, like when we see policing. Violence on blacks increasing, seems like we all deceasing. Perversity is pleasing, greediness got us all obese. And the LGBTQRSTXY, man, you see what I'm saying? When you've done all you can, but your faith is low. When you tried everything, but got nowhere to go. Just hold your head up, cause we in the final hour. Like Elijah on the mount, call down the power. When you fed up with the demons in the games they play, when you're losing your cool and need to make a way, look at the devil in the face and make a cower. Like Moses at the sea, call down the power.
You see, power is a dangerous thing unless it is handled carefully. It would be foolish on God's part to give just anybody power. You've got to qualify for it. And the worse life you've lived in the past, the more dramatic the demonstration. But when God changes a real bad one, that one becomes the greatest witness of all.
Yo, I'm pot committed like Vegas. You know your pastor can't say this. True man and y'all ain't no faking. He'll spew you out like you bacon. My people dropping like flies cause of that lack of true knowledge. Y'all wisdom open my eyes, clear my ears of the block. My mustard seed like a mountain. He got my praise like a fountain. When that Ruach get to moving, like DC go-go I'm grooving. To get where I'm at took years, through all the pain and the tears. But they got lost in my beard, just like I got lost in my fears. I don't be rocking with pride, try to stay off the humble. But sometimes I don't listen, like when these new rappers mumble. I get sparked and the demons get to shaking, like the earth when it's quaking. Cause I be praying fast and meditating. Y'all got you open, so listen. We breaking you out the prison of the lies that were disguised as religious proposition. My mind is sharp like a sword, the strongest pawn on the board. The name of Yah, not the Lord. Now do we have an accord? And when you're feeling stressed, feel the weight of the pressure. When the enemy floods you with BS you can't measure. Raise your standard up, stand tall just like a tower. Just like Daniel in the den, call down the power. When you look at the world and all you see is the trouble, and this illusion of peace about to bust like a bubble. Just remember that the devil gon' be sour. Look in the mirror and repeat, we got the power.
The power of God attends the truth. The power of God does not attend error.
The year was 2017. That's when the Most High Yah chose to reveal to me who He is by name. And through further study, I realized His spirit is actually called the Ruach. And this is what the Ruach gave me. Check it.
Nah, there's something trying to get in my soul. My brain is cloudy, I'm feeling like this thing getting old. Too late for excuses, made this bed I'm laying on. Bruises, got scrapes and scars. Forget that money, jewelry, and cars. Take time to think, stay clear of all the clubs and the bars. Cause time running out, before you know the sky will be open. And then when you look, all you gon' see is mountains of smoking. Yeah, it's true, so trust your instincts. Sometimes you gotta chill, lay back and stop and think. Cause these streets ain't playing. Slim then again, they play for keeping. You slip up and lose that grip, you guaranteed to end up sleeping 6 feet deep. You on your back, I hope that bag was packed. It's a long trip. If If you ain't right, your butt ain't coming back. There's no second chance, no round two. The buck stops here. You shouldn't have listened when you let the devil spit in your ear. But you did. Anyone? He told you shoot, you bust that gun. He said take, so you took. You read your butt just like a book. He said run, you started moving out here, cruising for a bruising, guaranteed to end up losing. If you're choosing not to fight, just let y'all elevate our mind, and then you do what's right, straight up. Chill, the syrup flow about me. Young knucklehead brother from that D.C. Preserved by Yah through his mercy. And now I'm taking this journey. I got my eyes on eternity. I'm rolling the sea. Yeah, how I was shot. The syrup flow about me. This young knucklehead brother from that D.C. Preserved by Yah through his mercy. And now I'm taking this journey. I got my eyes on eternity. I'm rolling the sea. Yeah, how I was shot. I started life off weird. Come to find out from my mom I wasn't supposed to be here. She had an IUD, and just in case you didn't know, when she removed that thing, this little head was supposed to go, but this little soldier held on, and I've been holding ever since on to the truth that has kept me from wholly falling off this fence. He keeps me sane in the midst of nonsense. When my mind starts slipping, bring me back in subjection to him. His mercy's never ending. Got a story to tell you about this brother from D.C. We're here to rock this world. And yeah, I'm reppin' Elohim, the same one, OJB. Big old that soldier that held on, still out here trying to find me, singing that same old boring song. I slipped and dipped when I had to, so coke and weed, and still I'm broke. I drank and smoked like a madman. I smoked until I choked, but now you see it's a joke. And trying to get back at me itching. In my mind I be rumbling, but still I'm ending up with stitches. Gotta get it together, cause like I said, he coming back. It's like no matter the weather, we gotta prepare for an attack. Whether we winning or losing, people, we gotta stop boozing. No more sniffing and choking, no more sticking and poking. The spirit is ready and willing, and we both jangling and chillin', making y'all look like a punk while that punk devil here stealing. See, hood proud here to tell you that we're making that move. We going hard with your holler, so just get with the groove. Sermonic flow is what he gave us. Spitting the truth is a blessing. Big O, we came hard in this piece to teach the devil a lesson. And straight up, shit, the syrup flow about me. Young knucklehead brother from the D.C. Preserved by Yah through his mercy. And now I'm taking this journey. I got my eyes on eternity. I'm rolling the sea. Yeah, how I shine. The syrup flow about me. Young knucklehead brother from that D.C. Preserved by Yah through his mercy. And now I'm taking this journey. I got my eyes on eternity. I'm rolling the sea. Yeah, how I shot.
You can feel it when it's beating steady. It's steady thumping while you breathing heavy. That power muscle keeps that blood flowing. He keeps it going, so we'll get to know him. The son of the father, so many never get to know him. Oh, except the only reason he let his blood flow. So many perceptions that we can't seem to understand, but the truth is coming because of Yahweh's master plan. The heartbeat of Yah was there in the beginning, the Alpha, Omega. Before we started sinning, he knew us, he formed us, he made us in his image. He synced his heartbeat to ours, and that's why we're still living. The struggle of this life has led us all astray like Cain. But with the choice to serve ourselves, who else can we blame? The two greatest laws are love for God and love for man. But by choosing self over both, we defy his commands. He's loving, he's patient, not willing we should suffer. Repentance, confession, in the name of our big brother. Protection, salvation is all the Father offers. Confusion and damnation is what's reserved for the scoffers. He wants a relationship with you, just let him near. Listen closely to this track, you hear him in your ear. The first beat you feel is an echo coming from his throne. The second one is the proof you're not living life alone. Just take that breath so that you can receive. His Ruach is dripping, so just believe. That love of Yah will put you in the zone. So get that fire shut up in your bones. Got all the results of sin, even till today. That's why he made the plan of salvation to make a way. Emptied all of heaven in one eternal sacrifice, just so that he could spend time with us in paradise. He struggled and he strived to get human attention, even repented himself of his wayward invention. Washed the world of iniquity cause of satanic heists. Sent prophets warnings and miracles, and even sent us Christ. His heart stays pumping grace and mercy to the hearts of the souls that are caught up in this controversy. Heeding doctrines of devils and wandering after beasts, trying to get them a glimpse of light before they are deceased. We don't know how much we mean to him, we don't recognize how him, we don't recognize how soon he's coming back to get us when he parts the skies. Take the time to see truth and learn what we don't really know. He'll make a way out of no way by letting his blood flow.
Yo, welcome. Who's here on a Sunday afternoon from 2 to 4 p.m. at U Broadcast Media. My name is Brad Trammell. I'm in the house today. Mr. Orlando Boy got the day off, taking care of some things. We're going to get it on like we usually do. What we usually do in the past week's revelations, testimonies, reading of the Most High, we come here and we break it down, we chop it up as it. But the events that we see happening in the world, and thing about to wrap up, and trust me, and I'm sure everybody else out either through our windows, through social media, or even on the television. Summation of the times right now. We are certainly in the last days, man. So it's a privilege to be able to Most High aim of heaven and earth, who allows us to do such things, who keeps us from week to week. They just happy that he's brought us back again, man. What I want to ask each and everyone to say a word of prayer for the indwelling of the Holy Ruach, the Holy Spirit, so that you can talk about as true or false. I know we explore, but we also explore a great deal that have been removed from our word, that we've researched and found how the Most High has blessed those who wrote those scriptures by and spark some curiosity within yourselves to go look and seek truth for yourself. Because at the end of the show, always closes with that line: seek truth and not the truth. While we come and we talk about the prayer requests that we have, and today's going to be no different. It's going to be straight from the Ruach type Sunday. I believe O spoke upon it last weekend. Final days of our broadcast here, doing our ministry, but it'll be done a little bit more independently. There's going to be opportunity. Truth may have questions about to keep it holy. You know, he starts off, and as you read the word in the they always seem to forget the goodness and the miracles and the workings of the Most High. You're breathing in that we can even doing these things. If you are blessed just to draw a car or a house, you have food in your fridge and clothes on your back, praise Yah for these things. Comfortable, but anytime you remember the goodness, the blessings that give them to you for both prosperity and right now, Ecclesiasticus or Sirach. But we'll touch on that in just a little bit. As far as prayer, always, we are eagerly in the work of tearing his kingdom down. Let me Yahusha, and I believe in that blood and I believe in that sacrifice, and so does my brother. So we believe that we have salvation according to his word. But yeah, keep us in prayer, certainly. Keep my family in prayer. My parents, man, they still doing good. You know what I'm saying? This past 2.5 hours in the morning with my brother and my father. I know I've testified of that before, man, but my father's 70 years old and he still be hooping. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of, I can't say I know a lot, but I know of others who are around his age who are not doing what he is doing. So I give all praise to the Most High for that, man. My mom, a little hot in the DMV area lately, so we ain't been walking too much. But coming into this fall season, her favorite season, she's born in October. She, she likes to get out and walk around, and I talk and I speak. You know? This is honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the land. But, the amount of loss that people are experiencing right now, but forced to fully realize until we experience loss. So experiences and spend the time with those that I can now, so that saying I won't be able to say that if I had another day or another hour, what I would do and fix and get things right. And let this be a testimony to yourself. If you have a grudge with anyone, and I'm actually going to cover that in the scripture today. We'll speak on it. Most High just doing stuff already. But think upon these things, man. Be forgiving. Be forgiving. Life is short. The word tells us that we are all but a vapor. A vapor. You can't even see a vapor for real. You know what I'm saying? I know people be vaping on them pens. And you think of how you seen people vape on them pens. Think how fast the smoke dissipates. That joint, it's faster than if you like smoking, either a blunt or a cigarette or something like that. The smoke, you could see that joint around. Seems like. And that's what our lives are like. In the grand scheme of things, with all of time that has been from the start to even till now, our lives are like but a drop in a bucket. You know what I'm saying? Mankind is averaging what? 80 to 100 or 120. Whew. You know what I'm saying? Our lives seem to be cut short. We're dropping faster and faster every day. So let this be a reminder right now, today, and let this echo in your heart and in your mind through the rest of the week. Pick up that phone. You know what I'm saying? Go visit that person. Do as the word instructs. Visit those who are destitute, who may be poor. Do for the widow and for the orphan and for those who are in need, whether they be in need of food or clothing. Save up alms in your house so that you can help, and help cheerfully. You know what I'm saying? Don't do it begrudgingly, because your Father in heaven, who knows all these things and sees you do all these things, he'll reward you in due time. You're building up collateral and wealth and stock in the kingdom when you do these things, man. That's far more important than anything you can accumulate down here on earth, where anything will rust and be corrupted by moth and by rat. We've read the verses. But keep my family in prayer, man. Keep the Bible study group in prayer, What else? I have a slew. It seems like every time we get here, we start talking about prayer requests. We can get names that go through our heads of people who need prayer, man. So I'd say just pray a prayer for believers, man. Those who are struggling to do the righteous thing. Those who may be hampered by either financial obligations or obligations. Pray for them, man. Pray for mercy and for grace and for wisdom, not only on yourself but for everybody else. And I always try to keep this I ain't gonna say strategy, but this setup when I'm praying for other people. I myself am a part of a couple prayer groups with some good brothers, man. Some real good. They hold me up, I hold them up. You know what I'm saying? It's all we holding all each other up. And I love it because when we pray, no man prays for himself. They only pray for the other people who are on the line, because you are lifting up prayers for other people. So you covering more people than just yourself. You just sit there in front of the Most High and talk about yourself all the time. And I know I've mentioned this. It's a little bit of a selfish prayer. The Most High already knows you, but can you go deeper than that? Can you go beyond what you're expected to do, and can you really seek out His favor for other people? Can you really exercise that second commandment, that second great commandment? Love your neighbor as yourself. And what act of greater love is there than praying for someone? Sometimes, we don't always see the results. Sometimes we question whether or not Yah even hears us sometimes. I know I've been there. I'm speaking personally now. But, man, He's been too good. And He shows up exactly when He needs to. He's answered so many prayers. He's answered them at times I didn't even think He would. In some prayers, I didn't even put that much, effort into it. Whether I'm praying for myself or somebody, I'll just say something slight. And then He'll just fulfill it miraculously, It's the type of Elohim we have, man. He's fully invested in what we think, do, and say. Don't think that He is not cognizant of these things. He's so great, He can pay attention to everyone who is alive right now. And He should be able to. You know why? Because His breath is in everyone breathing. Not just everyone, but every creature. Oh, give praise to the Most High for His mercy, His grace, and His goodness, and His miraculous works, man. Anytime you get to thinking about Him, especially me, man, I get overwhelmed because it's so much depth. Can't fully comprehend Him or understand Him unless He allows you to. And I don't even think we could take it if He could. But let me get back to these prayer requests, man. Certainly be with them, be with, the crew that works here at the studio, the management over the studio. Definitely want to keep prayers up for them. And yeah, man, that truth be discerned and that the Most High would guide, especially this ministry going forward where He would have it to. And, with whoever's supposed to partner, whoever's supposed to be brought on board to help out with this truth movement, certainly pray for those things because it's important. And I say that because it may not be popular. Truth is rarely popular, but it is what it is. And it's not going to shy away or bow out or fade because of unpopularity. It's going to remain. So you either face it and deal with reality or suffer the consequences, unfortunately. But yeah, so let's go ahead and say a word of prayer before I get to rambling too much, and then we're going to dive in. Bow your heads with me. Most High Yahuwah, thank you for your mercy and grace towards me, for all that you have done, all that you continue to do, for all that you have done for those who are around me, who are not too far removed from me, for those who I speak to on a week-to-week basis, day-to-day basis, anybody who I've interacted with, family, friends. I pray that you be with them right now. You know the multitude of prayer requests that it would take the full allotment of time for my mind to conceive and even utter before thee right now. Meet them instantly according to your goodness and your grace and your plan for each and every life and your omniscience and omnipotence as it allows. Because I know who you are from what you've shown me, and I can't even comprehend the little bit that you've shown me, but man, I'm amazed. Still, I look at my pitiful state and realize the complete need I have for the blood. And I'm praying that it cover me even right now. All my iniquities and my sins, may they be cast from before you, and please allow your holy Ruach to descend on me and use me as a vessel as you have so many times before, as you continue to do, so that your name may be glorified, as it will be, especially in these last days. Your magnificence is astounding, Father. I thank you for the people who you sent in our lives and in regards to this ministry to help us out, for the provisions that this studio has provided, and just for what you continue to do and for what you haven't even done yet, because I know you ain't finished. I know you're not. The word tells me too much that you have plans, Father, and I just pray to be around to see them fulfilled. May your will be done in each and every one of our lives from now until kingdom come. In your son Yahushua's name I pray. Amen. Man, just as soon as I finish the prayer, I forget about the other testimony. It's not even my testimony. It's Orlando's testimony about, his brother named, he knows him as Juice. That's his nickname, I'm assuming. I don't know his real name. I know O does. But he's been having health complications to the point where he was in the hospital. And, yesterday, and I don't want to get too deep in his testimonies. I know he's going to tell it eventually, if he hasn't already done it on Truck Chronicles on his Facebook joint. If you follow him, you'll see it. But this brother was taken off of a respirator, kind of that whole pull the plug scenario on this good brother that he and his family knows, and he was still breathing after the plug was pulled when everybody was counting him out. Everybody was saying he was gone. But because, and I'm calling it, because we had prayed for his health, for a complete turnaround, he's still here. And it doesn't surprise me one bit that he would defy the expectations of the medical professionals or practitioners who are over him and monitor him right now, because of the fact that's why the Most High gets down. He gets busy when we have exhausted all of our options, all of our resources, anything that man can do to possibly say that he had something to do with a miraculous or great work. When that is exalted, then y'all can't get no praise, because man has his foot in there. You know what I'm saying? Man has his wedge to say, nah, I did something. But nah, man. So all praise to the Most High for what he did with that brother Juice. I know O will probably fill in the intricate details when he's able. But all praises for that, man. This week it's been interesting for myself. Just testifying, real talk 101. Made a lot of decisions this week that yielded frustration. Usually, I was, and I'm not saying I'm or not confident in the decisions that I make, but I made some rash and some quick ones to where I look back and I was like, man, I should have thought about that a little bit more, or I should have put a little bit more time into how I would answer certain questions before I did it. But it returned unto me a lot of frustration, and I saw the ramifications of the decisions I made and the actions that came because of them, and I was displeased and unsatisfied. And I'm bringing this up for a reason, because I know at a point in my life before, when I used to do these things, I wouldn't resort, or first thing come to my mind, I said, man, I need to get back to the Most High. I need to turn myself around. You know what I'm saying? I need to pray, need to read the word, need to fast, need to do all that. I wasn't doing that earlier in life. None of us actually were. We come to have that understanding, and I pray that we all do. But that was the thought that I had probably like Thursday or Friday this week, after going through the majority of the week and seeing what I was dealing with. And when it was happening, it was too many to count, some embarrassing, some not. I said to myself, so I'm going to return unto the Most High and humble myself. It is never, ever, 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 like Chris Tucker said, never, ever, ever a bad idea to return and humble yourself unto the Most High. Never. Whenever this life starts throwing a whole bunch of, how many scriptures we have regarding that? The stormy seas of life, the trials and tribulations of life. This book has hundreds of answers telling you how to deal with it. You got to turn back to the Most High. You got to humble yourself. Don't be headstrong and keep going in the direction that you're going, thinking you can fix it and manage, because things will only get worse. And the Most High will design it to be so. In order to drive the point home, you cannot do this by yourself. You do not have the foresight. I love when I read the word and I read about the patriarchs and the other servants of the Most High who had questions for Yah. They were either talking to angels or talking directly to him, and they would ask him questions, these grand questions that, of course, human beings would ask. Like, man, like how do you allow the wicked to live and to breathe, and you despise it, and then you punish those who are good when they mess up just a little bit? When they questions like that come, or when questions like, man, how long, you know what I'm saying, do I have left on this planet, and how long does the planet have to be, to be thriving? You know what I'm saying? These types of questions. Or why certain things are the way they are, just mysteries. And, usually these people that I would be reading about, Baruch, Esdras, Abraham, who else I can name, Isaiah, Jeremiah, they would ask questions, Job, they would have issue and they would have cause to have an aggressive thought towards the Most High, because they were not able to understand the current situations. And the Most High usually, I love when he does this, he would start asking them rhetorical questions. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, all right, first, call back yesterday and have it be tomorrow. Do that first. Or go weigh the weight of a flame and then tell me, what you compute. Or capture all the breeze you can in a jar and then open it up and direct it somewhere else. Like, he would ask some ridiculous stuff that no man could ever answer or react to, and he would do this just to stump them. And clearly, when these questions are asked, of course, the person he was talking to would always be like, man, who can do this? For I'm just a man. And he was like, well, neither would you be able to understand the answers or the full depth of the questions that you're even asking me. You wouldn't be able to comprehend. So why are you asking me these things? And I bring this up because I started having these questions towards the Most High when I was frustrated this week of the decisions I made. I was like, man, why you let me do that? Why you ain't tip the scale this way? Why you give me a little insight? Well, first of all, I didn't seek his insight half the time. That was issue number one. He brought that to my mind. But then the other times, he would see what I would do in order that I might learn a lesson and gain wisdom. Wisdom. If there was a topic today that I had, it would be about wisdom, man. In so many books, especially the wisdom book written by Solomon, Ecclesiasticus written by Ben Sira, which I currently have open right now, Psalms and Proverbs, I try in my rotation of reading the word, I try to always have a portion saved for a wisdom book. So when I'm reading the word, I try to have three different places. I try to read something regarding prophecy, about what's happening right now, so I can be awake and know what's going on and see the signs and not be fooled, and not be led astray, because there's many lies and deceptions that are running rampant right now that people just love. Many. On all fronts, and they are going to be crippling and disastrous when the truth is finally realized, because people have held on to lies for so long. We've talked about that. I ain't going to get into that right now, but I want to know as much truth as I can so my pain will be lessened. And this word, especially in Ecclesiasticus, says that wisdom, she going to try you. She going to bear down on you and see if you can take it. But if you can, oh man, said it's going to be like a gold chain around your neck, like a crown on your head. People will listen to you speak, and she ain't going to have no choice but to come through your speech. Wisdom is the learning of lessons and heeding the Most High. Wisdom is seeking the Most High, actually, because he possesses all of it. The word tells me that he created wisdom first, the first thing, and then he commanded that wisdom to create. You know what I'm talking about, right? The Spirit of the Lord hung over the face of the deep, as we have in our original words. The Spirit, or the Ruach HaKodesh, more like it, hovered above the face of the deep. We also call that Spirit the what? The Ruach Chakmah in Hebrew, which is called the Spirit of wisdom. That's what it is. It's his wisdom, and it's referred to in the feminine, which is another thing that I love, because it shows, the wisdom that a woman possesses, that can possess, can use, can use to be a helpmeet and be such a gem to any man that she's with, or she can direct her life with wisdom, if she being a woman of Yah, of course. Beautiful thing. So I was thinking about that this week, and I was like, man, it would be wise for my behind to be humbled and get back in front of the Most High. So that's what I did, and I started, reading. And what I have before me right now is Ecclesiasticus. And this past weekend, I went through chapters 25 through, I got up to 37, and then I stopped, because 36 is a prayer, and that's probably what I'm going to finish on. But it was just a lot of good information. And the reason why I like or having one of these books in my rotation, okay, wait, I didn't finish my rotation. So I want to have books of wisdom, or have passages from a book of wisdom in my rotation. A prophecy book, like a Revelation, a Daniel, a second Baruch, a second Esdras, a Enoch, have something like that in my rotation so I can see what's going on. And then story time. The Bible characters that we know and love, that we want to find out more about, that really our original KJV or new KJV just gives us like a summary of how they were. I like to see the humanity in the characters that I'm reading about. And I've said it plenty of times on the show before. The book of Yasher, or Jasher, as you may find, is chock full of that. Yasher is pretty much the composite version of the Torah. It covers, what does it cover? It covers creation all the way through Moses. It covers Moses. I can't remember how far it goes. I think it goes under Joshua. I think it goes under Joshua. So if you match that up with the rest of the word, that's like Genesis all the way through the Torah, Deuteronomy, maybe a little bit in the Numbers. We know what Numbers is. It's about the numbers. But, the Torah, the first 5 books, man, the law, where the law is. And it expounds on the actions and the thoughts and the deeds and the words of those people that we read about in the first 5 books of the Bible. So having one of those open is always good for me. Or I go to the Kings, go to Samuel, and read about my favorite Bible character other than Yahushua HaMashiach, the Savior, which is David. Because David was a man after the Most High's own heart, and I always strive to be that. So he's a good example of it. And then, of course, his son Solomon, because I see myself as having a lot in common with those two, David and Solomon, man. So I had the thought to humble myself and read, and man, the reason why I want to stress this and why it's important is because we're going to get a lot of stuff wrong in our life as you get older. You know what I'm saying? You're going to learn a lot of lessons. Some of them can be detrimental to your way of life. Some can knock you out where people don't get back up. But the word is a sure foundation. We were built to praise. We were built and created to worship. The question is, what are we going to worship? What are we going to give praise to? Because it's going to be something. It may not be to the Elohim of heaven and earth, but it's going to be something. Think about what you worship in your life. What you can't go a day without. What do you do when you first wake up in the morning? What do you do before you go to bed? What is it that your eyes glance upon and cannot be turned away, or that you read about, or maybe that you eat, or that you do? What do you worship? And think about not only that thing, but also think about what you have sacrificed to do that thing, or to see that thing, to eat, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Whatever that idol is, what have you sacrificed to worship it? Now, ask yourself the question, if you are a believer in Elohim, have you sacrificed time with him to do that? I'm guilty. I suspect we all are. All of us ever have been. Sin is a very infectious disease, and that joint has not failed in any human that's alive. It has been found in all of us. So, when we have guidance, and we have a Father who is compassionate, who made such a sacrifice to open up a way of communication with him so he can guide us back to himself. For those who he predetermined would do it from the beginning. He knew all his works from the beginning. For those of us whom he has been merciful to, give him praise and thanks for the fact that he can give you the thought that you need. Hey, you're going a little bit too fast. You need to slow down. You're moving in the wrong direction. You need to turn around. I was just reading this week, this book right here says The Apocalypse of Abraham. It's a wild title, isn't it? The Apocalypse of Abraham. I love books like this. There are tons of apocryphal books that unqualified religious entities have designated as insignificant and given to the large populace in order to control them and to guide their worship, so that they can fill their coffers with gold and with precious things so that they can become powerful. Not only has it been foretold in our word, but they successfully do it, and they will continue to successfully do it until the Elohim of heaven and earth destroys them, because they are so powerful that there is no entity or human being or group of people on earth that can shut them down. Y'all know who I'm talking about. The Catholic Church. I mean, just call it what it is, man. It's the truth. And that's what we talk about here. So when I find all these other books, I used to be in a position, that O talked about it too, where it's like, man, I don't know about all that. That joint sound kind of strange. The Apocalypse of Abraham? Who wrote that? Questions, 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 and questions. Rather now, my mindset is to pray before reading. Excuse me, let me back up. Pray for discernment before reading, then read, glean the field. You know what I'm saying? Chew up the meat, spit out the bones. Because that's what we on right now. I'm eating like a T-Rex. You know what I'm saying, fam? It's going to take a lot to fill my appetite for the word. I ain't on milk no more. I ain't been on milk for quite a long time. But when I do these things and I find these books, man, I found today in this, yesterday in Apocalypse of Abraham, this portion, or actually it's either the Apocalypse or the Testament. This book has two books within one. It's the Apocalypse of Abraham and the Testament of Abraham. So both are in here. But in one of them, I believe it was the Testament. It was in the Testament, to where Abraham had this vision and he saw something that has been referred to in the Word. You remember the scripture that has been spoken of regarding the broad is the way and wide is the gate that leadeth unto destruction, and many there be that find it and follow it and go. But narrow be the way and straight be the gate. Straight meaning not straight like a line, but straight meaning difficult. Straight be the way that leads into the righteousness, and few there be that find it. That's word. In here, in this testament, Abraham saw a vision to where he saw both of these roads. And when he saw these roads, he saw the wide road, and he saw angels pursuing the people that was on the wide, broad road. Pursuing means trying to get them off, trying to catch them before they continue on down to Sheol. But then, on the narrow, difficult road, it said there were angels guiding. Guiding versus pursuing. Are you being guided or are you being pursued? Are you running or are you following? Interesting questions. And when he saw these things, he said also, and this was really interesting, he said he saw a throne on the narrow road in the middle. So the narrow road, it was already narrow, so how you going to fit a throne there? But on the throne was a man who was of great stature. His face was shining as if it was the sun. So the first time I'm reading this, I'm thinking this is going to be, you know what I'm saying, Elohim, or at least his son. Come to find out it was Adam that he saw in his vision. And every time Adam saw people choosing the wide road, it said that he would pull his hair out of his head and out of his beard and just groan and moan with disgust and with sorrow. And every time one was being guided on the narrow road, he would be joyful. He would be happy. And you think about it. All flesh has proceeded from Adam and Eve, of course. Couldn't have no progeny without the woman. So he's seeing this. But because he knows the consequences of his actions, he sees the amount of lost, the number of the lost. It's going to be way greater than the number of the saved, even though both will be like the sand of the sea. But clearly a disparity has been made. And when I read this, man, I was just like, man, see, it's just another image that I have now about the road that I try to stay on. The road is difficult. Like I said, the frustrations and the disappointments that I faced earlier in this week, they were difficult. And I could have just got on the broad, easy road. It's like, man, F all this. Do what I'm going to do. Don't pay attention to the Most High. Don't read my word. I'm going to just do me, and it's going to be easy, simple, and sweet. Broad is the way. Wide is the gate. But no, man. When you humble yourself before the Most High, you forsake yourself. You forsake your own way. And whatever that means for you, I'm not going to sit here and be specific upon what I did, but I want you to hear me speaking broadly so the thought can form in your mind. How can you humble yourself before the Most High? Because we all going to do it differently, but he knows the heart. He knows when we are truly humble. You can't fool him. But consider it. Have this thought in your mind going through this week. We're about to enter the fall months. We made it through half of another year. You know what I'm saying? We got the back half to do. Many, many things have transpired in this world that we've seen that has caused us alarm, has caused us shock. And, you know, to say that we may be a little bit, what's the word now? Not incensed, but immune to it, or just passive in regards to what we see. We're not taking it. I know the word I'm looking for, and I can't find it. And I know I'm going to think about it when I leave. But that state of mind where everything that we see, we're just like, meh. Whether it be horrible or great, we're just, meh. What's the next thing? Constantly on to the next. And you know, as I thought about that this week and about humbling myself and how I saw complacency within myself in certain areas I needed to tighten up, that strengthened my decision to to humble myself and get back right with the Most High. And beautiful thing about it is, man, I don't need nobody else to do that. It's a decision that I make within myself to do, and I have the decision and the discipline to do it. All the demons in hell, including the devil himself, do not have the power, have not been given the power to make you sin. They can't do it. They can tempt, they can persuade, they can give you ideas, they can do all that, but you can shut it down. For you have been given choice and liberty over the vessel that Yah has provided, your soul. And you're going to bear responsibility, all of us. We don't always make the right decisions, but when we do, man, make an impact. Show the Most High that you are serious. Pray that his mercies and his grace never cease from failing over your head and over your life. Do the same for your family and for your friends. That's what I was doing this weekend. And then I got to read, man. Book of Ecclesiasticus. I'm going to start at chapter 27. And the thing is, I'm not going to read straight through these chapters, but every time I go through these chapters, man, if you could, I don't know, I could probably show it up and you could see it, but in my word, I'm looking at the camera right now. It's probably too small, but don't worry. Don't even close up back there. But I have tons of little highlight marks. Used to, back in the day, my grandparents, they had the Bibles, they had the long highlighter marks in the book, the whole page be done bled yellow. Now, we got 20,000 different colors of highlighters, and instead of soaking my page with, is that ink? Is that really ink? It's ink, I'm guessing, like, fluorescent ink or something. Instead of doing that, I just mark the number. So every time I'm looking down the page, you just see dots of color of what I think about or what jumped out at me when I was reading. And then when I'm going back over the book, I use a different mark to mark the second read through. So I got kind of like it color coded. This was the second. When I read through it the second time, these are the things I picked up on. And when I read it the third time, these are things. And I just go from there. You know what I'm saying? Go through all the colors of the rainbow if I need to. But this book right here, Ecclesiasticus and the Wisdom Book of Solomon and Proverbs, them joints are marked up in my book because they're just chock full of good direction, good counsel, good wise sayings that, that a man could and should heed in order to reduce, problems and trials that he's going through. Or if he has to deal with them, he can deal with them like water off a duck's back. It ain't nothing. Because you're prepared. It's like a fighter who's prepared for a fight, man. He practices. There's this show is on Netflix called Fight World. And I started watching this 5-part series of this dude who, if I said him, nobody would know him, but I know his name is Frank Grillo. He was in another series that I watched. It was about fighting. It's about MMA or whatever. So he's a fight enthusiast. And he was going to all these different places on Earth and looking at combat sports that were specific to those areas, forms of combat sports that were specific to the areas. And every place he went, the amount of practice and the amount of attention that people who generally came from extreme poverty, the amount of focus that they put into it was astounding. And they had to, because when they left that place, they would go back to almost nothing. They didn't have the distractions that we have here in this country, because he was going out of the country to do these things. They didn't have the abundance. They didn't have, restaurants and fast food joints and shopping malls and grocery stores on every block. Well, you couldn't find none of that. Not where he went. A lot of shanties, a lot of dirt, unpaved roads, few cars. Not a lot of clothes on the backs of the children. Places like that. And you would see men and women in these diverse environments, spending hours and hours practicing their craft, putting in the work that they needed to put in order to be competitive in combat. Now, this is combat. You know what I'm saying? There's a mutual respect between combatants that was shown in each and every one of the locations, and I was focusing on these things. Every time I watch these things, man, I can't watch nothing no more. Nothing. With closed eyes. Like, I can't just sit back and watch something for entertainment when it's stupid, secular, spiritual, or anything, and my antennas not go up. I just can't do it no more. So when I'm watching these things, I'm trying to see the link, because you can talk and have Yahuwah in your life with everything. Think about this. Just a pivotal commercial right here. There ain't nothing that you can hide from the Most High, no matter what it is. And there ain't no topic that's too deep or crass or offensive to discuss with him, for he knows all. He sees the worst and the best. He allows for the worst and the best. He allows rain to fall on the just and the unjust. So I try to be real and rap to him about anything. And what it does is it increases my faith and my confidence in him to the point where it's like, man, why would I be embarrassed to talk to someone who knows it all anyway? He sees it all anyway. And if you're still breathing, that means he has mercy over you. And great is his mercy. Great is his faithfulness. All give praise unto Yahuwah Elohim. I'm sorry, fam. But yo, it defies logic. It defies our logic. Why he is so good. So anytime I have to pause and think about that, I just do. But let me get back into this Ecclesiasticus, man. Start with chapter 27. I'm going to only read highlighted verses. And since I'm going to be jumping around, I'm going to say the number of the verse before I read it because I'm going to be moving through. But, man, in 27, and this is one of the things, you know what I'm saying, my eyes fell upon after the week I had. And I love the way this chapter opens up because it signified where I was when I was at my crossroads. I was like, man, I ain't do hardly nothing right this week. There was more wrong than there was more right this week. There was more wrong than right. And I know whenever that happens, that's usually my little alarm going off, say, hey, returning to the Father. So let's read. Verse 1 says, many have sinned for a small matter, and he that seeks for abundance will turn his eyes away. As a nail sticks fast between the joining of stones, so does sin stick close between buying and selling. Let me break that down a little bit, man. When your concerns, all about what you can acquire and what you can give away, all for the case of commerce, then your Elohim, your God, is money. That's what you worship. And there are plenty in this world that would say that's not a bad pursuit. And as the world currently stands, without money, there's little that you can acquire. But when that is your sole reason, your sole focus, it says sin sticks close between buying and selling. That means the thought or the possibility of transgressing the law of Yahuwah is so much higher because you're willing to do it in order to serve that almighty dollar. That's why it says it sticks close, man. If things get desperate, if you ain't got what you need, the first thought is not let me turn to the Most High and see if he can bless me financially, but let me see what other means I can go about acquiring. Something that seems to be rampant in, the African American community, the Yasharal community, according to the curse, but how many times have we seen it? We've seen television shows and movies and news reports of the crime and the avarice and the greed and the violence and the sex and all that stuff within our community. Especially. It's exploited. It's popular the world around. We've delved into the reasons why that is currently today, and we've also delved into the reasons why that time is almost up. And I'm not saying about the 400 years. That's not what I'm speaking about. I'm talking about the liberation of the Most High, but I ain't going to get too deep into that today. Verse 3, unless a man hold himself diligently in the fear of Yahuwah, his house shall soon be overthrown. That is a significant verse. I'm going to read it again. Unless a man hold himself diligently in the fear of Yahuwah, his house shall soon be overthrown. A man, his house, and whoever is in his house going to fall into chaos, be overthrown, broken. Maybe separation, maybe divorce, maybe children feel the brunt of the overthrowing of the house. But if he doesn't hold himself diligently in the fear of you, that means in respect to what he said. Let me always fall back on that. Let me at least have a mindset, a thought to fall back on what Yah said over what I'm thinking and what I said. That's important, man. I love that verse. Verse 5, like I said, I'm jumping around. The furnace proves the potter's vessels, so the trial of a man is in his reasoning. Great verse. The furnace proves the potter's vessel, whether it will melt, it will come apart, or whether it was put together well and it will harden and it will maintain the form that it has. The furnace, the fire proves that. So the trial of man in his reasoning. How do you think about things? How do you reason through things? Do you make hasty decisions? Or do you think things through? This week I was making hasty decisions. Even was hasty with the mouth. I used O to check me on something this week. I was very happy for him to do that because I was like, I didn't even mean to say that. But I did. The Most High checked me. Love the chastisement of the Most High because that means he loves me. The word tells me that too. Verse 7. Praise no man before you hear him speak, for this is the trial of men. Now, man, if that ain't important, I don't know what is. There are many people who you could perceive to be very great. Idolized even. Celebrities, sports figures. I'm thinking about the people that are, usually get idolized right now. You usually got to have some type of fame. But usually these people in these positions are saying something that is scripted, or they have to give a certain type of answer in order to maintain their status. They're not saying anything too offensive so they do not detract from the fame that they have, if indeed they love it. Then there are some people who just say whatever it is on their mind. It's That's why I like Chappelle, man. Chappelle, more often than not, speaks exactly what is on his mind. And I respect what he has to say, whether it be controversial or not. And it just so happens he's in a profession that allows him to do that freely. So now he has the creativity to take his own thoughts, which are unique, and make them in comedic form, whether they are offensive or not. This is what he thinks. And if it goes against the grain, so what? That's why, crass sometimes. I know Chappelle ain't, a man is what a man is. But I at least respect what he says, that he speaks his mind. I always used to like Jim Carrey, too. He used to do that as well. Jim Carrey wouldn't be scripted. He was, a character within himself. But he was always like that, and I appreciated that. I appreciate people like that. Think about people like that who are in your life right now. They're not too overly opinionated, or they don't try to persuade people to think as they think. But if you ask them what they think, they're going to give you a unique answer, whether it is contrary to what the populace believe or not. And it's going to be genuine. It'll give you perspective. This is the blessings of having a multitude of different friends, different people that you associate with. And I take away the word multitude because you have too many, and it's hard to sift and see who's wise and who's not. But for the few that you do have, test them by their speech, for this is the trial of men. Chapter 27, verse 7. If I flip the page, I'm going to read verse 11 going into 12. And it says, the discourse, the conversation, of a righteous man is always with wisdom, but a fool changes as the moon. Moon, of course, in different positions, usually ain't really full all the time. It's half, quarter, 2 quarters, 3 quarters. Changes. But it said the conversation or the discourse of a righteous man is always with wisdom. I mark that because, okay, if the discourse of a righteous man, which is what I try to be, is full of wisdom, then how does that happen? All right, in order to be righteous, you have to have the Spirit. Or you have to ask for the Spirit. The Spirit also brings in its train its fruit, chief of which is wisdom. Answer to your question, how to gain wisdom and always have it in your speech, being righteous, male or female. But then going into verse 12, and it says, if you be among the indiscreet, not discreet, if you be among the indiscreet, observe the time, but be continually among men of understanding. That's guidance. If you are indiscreet and you do not know how to be discreet, or you want to be wise, position yourself around men of understanding. Because men of understanding generally have wisdom. Respect you to your elders, those who have gray hairs upon their head and upon their beard. Position yourselves around them. Ask questions, especially if they be righteous men and men of Yah, not just any men. So, I've made in my life the provision of the way, all praise to the Most High, to put myself around brothers who are a little bit older than me, have a little bit more experience in areas that I do not. And I listen to their discourse. And when I'm able to discern wisdom, I glean as much as I can from it. And if I'm asked a question, I keep it short, keep it simple. And I get back to listening. So that if my cup is filled, then when questions come to me by whomever, I can pour out the wisdom that I've received from the Most High. Verse 23, moving on down. When you are present, oh, hold on. I gotta read the verse before it, 22. He that winks with his eyes works evil, and he that knows him will depart from him. When you are present, he will speak sweetly and admire your words, but at the last he will writhe his mouth and slander your sayings. This is a good verse in sifting out snakes. He that winks with his eyes works evil. Now, this could be like an old example for it. I don't really see nobody winking their eye and stuff like that. But, the process, the behavior of winking the eye after something is being said is usually to take the meaning that there's either something deeper that you intended by what you previously said or something completely contrary. Like, for instance, I'm going to go after this and I'm going to hit the stove and get me some liquor. Wink my eye, meaning I probably ain't going to do that. Or I'm either going to do something worse. So I'm using that as an example, any scenario you can think of. But it says when you do that, that person usually is working evil. And whoever whether they be, and nobody actually winks no more, but if you know somebody in speech who speaks contrary to what they're actually going to do, just refrain from being around that person and talking to that person. Care what the connection is, because it's only going to drag you down. And it says, when you are present, he will speak sweetly and will admire your words, but at the last he will writhe his mouth and slander your sayings. There have been a couple people that I've known in my life that I've been around, and when they come around me, they slander other people. And they say, man, I told them not to do this, and then that fool went on and did this. And I hear how they speak about either their acquaintance, family, or something like that, and I hear that. And so I'd be a fool and daft to think that they won't do it to me when I'm not around. That's what this thing is explaining. Just don't keep company with those people. You won't have to worry about it. Verse 28, mockery and reproach are from the proud, but vengeance as a lion shall lie in wait for them. Now, I like this verse. It's a little bit aggressive to the point I'm about to make, but I like it because it says mockery and reproach are from the proud. That means from somebody who thinks that they're not going to experience the same misfortune or the same negative outcome that you have. So they tease you on it. But then this thing said, now, of course, we're talking about a probably much more extreme level, because it says, but vengeance as a lion shall lie in wait for them. And there ain't nobody trying to see no lion lie in wait for them. Like, for real, ain't no lion lying in wait. They ain't trying to see that. We know the capability of a lion. And that joint is not nice. It's beastly and animalistic and violent, utterly. And that's what this is saying, that vengeance shall be set up lying in wait for you as. And I try not to even do that in, minimal settings. I have been in a couple, sports, I ain't gonna say sports competitions, but like playing games with people. You know what I'm saying? Maybe pool, basketball, chess, whatever. Every time, most times, I'm talking about like 80-20, maybe 85-15. You know what I'm saying? That usually when somebody start talking that talk, they usually experience misfortune. So I think to myself, if it's a simple thing for the Most High, who sees and hears all, to humble a man after proud and mocking speech, let me just be even killed. And just do what I do. And not let the play or what you do speak for itself. That's how that's how I am. I'd rather decisively, without trash talk, handle my business or do something. And let that speak. That will stand as a pillar and a tower of what I have done or what has been accomplished, rather than just talking about it and then nothing happened. Chapter 28. Well, actually, you know what? Let me make sure. Yeah, these books that I'm looking over right now, they cover various topics. Like in chapter 28, it's talking about forgiveness of your neighbor and not chasing strife, like contention, not backbiting. These are the topics and the gems that are in chapter 28. And then chapter 29, it speaks about lending, being giving, you know what I'm saying, being submissive and hearing and helping people out when they have their time of need, being patient with those who are in poor state, you know what I'm saying, those who are less fortunate than you are, how to be patient, how to be long-suffering, the way the Most High is to you. There's another verse in here, I don't have it directly in front of me, but it says, there is a man who has grudges with his friends and with his family, and then he asks Yahuwah for forgiveness. Matter of fact, it is in 28. It says, one man bears hatred. Chapter 28, verse 3. My eyes just found it. Thank you, y'all. One man bears hatred against another and seeks pardon from Yahuwah. He shows no mercy to a man, which is like himself, and he asks forgiveness of his own sins. And these are in question form. Just like, is he really going to do this? I'm just reading them, but they have a question mark in the end of each one of those statements. It says, if he that is but flesh nourish hatred, who will entreat for pardon of his sins? Then it says, remember your end and let enmity cease. Remember corruption and death and abide in the commandments. Remember the commandments and bear no malice to your neighbor. Remember the covenant of El Elyon and weak at ignorance. So when somebody ignorantly offends you or ignorantly trespasses against you, and just, it's all right, you ain't know. It was ignorant, you ain't know. Abstain from strife, and you shall diminish your sins, for a furious man will kindle strife. This is why you need the word, man. You got a quick temper, you got an attitude, you hold grudges because somebody done you wrong. Like, we all do this. But this is direction. This is how you get your sins forgiven. This is how you get a multitude of grace to just roll over your nonsense. Powerful things, man. In Ecclesiasticus, a book that we haven't had until just recently, man. Love this stuff. Verse 31 talks about watching for riches. That's how it opens up anyway. It's talking about riches and gold and those who pursue them over everything else, how it's going to be a stumbling block. The sufficiency that you need is never met because you're always chasing, always going after it. Not to use, hip-hop as a source right now, but I mean, it just comes to mind when Biggie said, more money, more problems. Remember that. In summation, that's he's saying pretty much what it was in here. Your problems are not going to cease based on your accumulation of wealth. Ain't going to happen. Talks about being in a cheerful mood, being able to change the attitude of your own heart and mind when you are in dire straits. In actually the chapter before, in chapter 30, going down to verse 21, because I have it open, it says, give not over your mind to heaviness, and afflict not yourself in your own counsel. The gladness of the heart is the life of man, and the joyfulness of a man prolongs his days. Love your own soul and comfort your heart. Remove sorrow far from you, for sorrow has killed many, and there is no profit therein. Envy and wrath shorten the life, and carefulness brings age before time. A cheerful and good heart will have care of his meat. A cheerful and good heart will have a care of his meat and diet. So it even goes that further. It says you're going to watch what you eat and how much you eat when you are cheerful and you have a good heart. Oh, and I got to read these, man. Because for so long in the church, we heard, man, wine is a mocker and strong drink for fools, or something to that regard. I know that's a psalm, you know what I'm saying? All alcohol is bad, you know what I'm saying? All wine, all drinking, in excess, of course, is bad. But I always ask the question for those who just ready to write off everything. I was like, who created the process for fermentation? I mean, did it catch the Most High off guard that when grapes get old, they get that little taste in them, like they got soda in them, you know what I'm saying? They got that that taste when fruit gets a little bit old, that fermentation. Like, did that take him off guard? Did alcohol just come on the scene by itself and the Most High ain't know nothing about it? Like when grapes from a vintage which grow from the ground? I have this same type of questioning with the marijuana plant. I was like, did this plant just sprout because, you know what I'm saying, because it came out of nowhere? Or did the Most High, like if you plant a seed in the ground and you water and give it sunlight, it will grow. And the Most High created water and sunlight. It makes sense to me. But we're quick to put, rules and regulations in place, laws, practices, and traditions. Seek truth, not the traditions of men. Let me read this part about the wine, though, because this was interesting. I'm going to start at chapter 23 of verse 31. Whoso is liberal of his meat, men shall speak well of him, and the report of his good housekeeping will be believed. But against him that is ungenerous of his meat, the whole city shall murmur, and the testimonies of his stinginess shall not be doubted of. So don't be stingy, don't be selfish, of course. Show not your valiantness in wine, for wine has destroyed many. I know a lot of people call wine or liquor liquid courage. But this thing is saying show not your bravery and your valiantness in wine or in alcohol, for wine has destroyed many. It has, meaning there's a strong possibility it can destroy you. For you are deceived with false valiantness under the influence of the alcohol. Verse 26, the furnace proves the edge by dipping, so does wine the hearts of the proud by drunkenness. So if you got a proud heart and you get drunk, we're going to hear about it. You ever been around somebody drunk? All they can do is talk about themselves. Man, I did this, I did that, I, me. Have you been around? I have. And it seems to be that much more pronounced when they're in that state of mind. That's what this is talking about. See, the word got answers for everything. Wine, but then, we're talking about drunkenness and how bad it is to be drunk, and you shouldn't be drunk. But then verse 27 of chapter 31 of Ecclesiasticus, wine is as good as life to a man, if it be drunk moderately. What life is then to a man that is without wine? For it was made to make men glad. That's a strong verse right there. Wine measurably drunk and in season brings gladness of the heart and cheerfulness to the mind. But wine drunken with excess makes bitterness of the mind, with brawling and quarreling, which we see a lot of because it's excess. Drunkenness increases the rage of a fool till he offend. It diminishes strength and makes wounds. But rebuke not your neighbor at the wine. So don't be going around telling everybody, "Ooh, you drink, you shouldn't be." Don't do that. Rebuke not your neighbor at the wine, and despise him not in his mirth or his happiness. Give him no despiteful words, and press not upon him with urging him to drink. Meaning, don't encourage him to drink more. I've fallen into that category, and I've had that category falling onto me before, but just don't do that. But I'm reading these things, man, these small gems. I got tons of stuff highlighted, and I said I was going to jump to chapter 36 for this prayer, because I want to read this to close out and let it be my final prayer, man. It bears repeating, and it bears the testimony that hopefully I've accurately given by way of the Ruach HaKodesh that, we all got problems and issues that we can think upon right now. And my testimony today is that after just a rough week, a week where I was more satisfied, or less satisfied, should I say, with how I handled stuff versus other weeks to where I believed I had, and I'm safe on neither one. I always need the Most High in either one. Let me not get complacent when things get too good or I start making too many good decisions, because then I'll forget about them. But I love it when he makes things difficult from time to time. Why? Because he knows I'm going to respond to him. I'm going to turn back around to him, and he's usually trying to get me to do that when things like this happen. So my mindset no more is now, woe is me. Why is this happening? What in the world? It's not that no more. It's like, okay, you got my attention. What you need? And just having that thought is a safety in itself. I haven't built my house on any sand. I built my house on the rock. And I know that drink is going to stand tall. But chapter 36 of Sirach is going to be my closing prayer, and I'm going to read it. Have mercy upon us, O Yahuwah, Elohim of all, and behold us. And send your fear upon all the nations that seek not after you. Lift up your hand against the strange nations, and let them see your power. As you were sanctified in us before them, so be magnified among them before us. and let them know you as we have known you, that there is no Elohim but only you. Show new signs and make other strange wonders. Glorify your hand and your right arm, that they may set forth your wondrous works. Raise up indignation and pour out wrath. Take away the adversary and destroy the enemy. Make the time short. Remember the covenant, and let them declare your wonderful works. Let him that escapes be consumed by the rage of the fire, and let them perish that oppress the people. Smite in sunder the heads of the rulers of the heathen, that say, there is none but we. Gather all the tribes of Yaakov together and inherit them, as from the beginning. O Yahuwah, have mercy upon the people that is called by your name, and upon Yasharal, whom you have named your firstborn. O be merciful unto Jerusalem, your holy city, the place of your rest. Fill Zion with your unspeakable oracles, and your people with your glory. Give testimony unto those that you have possessed from the beginning, and raise up prophets that have been in your name. Reward them that wait for you, and let your prophets be found faithful. O Yahuwah, hear the prayer of your servants according to the blessings of Aaron over your people, that all they which dwell upon the earth may know that you are Yah, the eternal Elohim. Amen. Man, this has been real talk, one-on-one. A couple of our final days for the month of September. But stay tuned. The ministry will not stop and it will not cease. May Yah bless and keep you until we meet again. And don't forget to seek truth and not the traditions of men.
Sermonic flow. Minister BT on the track. Back at it. Cause when that spirit moves, gotta react. Yeah. Hey, to my people, I address thee under the unction of the Holy One, the Elohim of all that is, who goes by Elion. Yahuwah surveyeth, under he do I prayeth, to do as he saith. I be about that word, you feel me? All praises. I continue to exhort my brethren, that they receiving blessings from learning plenty lessons. Be off the herbal essence from all of life's oppression, battling thoughts of dark depression, false confessions, feeling suppression, courts in session. Ask the question, how long will my life continue to be this way? I cried real tears when my mama sang a Benedict. Just hold on is what my pastor used to say. But if that's all that it takes, then why my people continue to go astray? The church is barely breathing, like when we see policing. Violence on blacks increasing, seems like we all deceasing. Perversity is pleasing, greediness got us all obese. And the LGBTQRSTXY, man, you see what I'm saying? When you've done all you can, but your faith is low. When you tried everything, but got nowhere to go. Just hold your head up, cause we in the final hour. Like Elijah on the mount, call down the power. When you fed up with the demons and the games they play, when you're losing your cool and need to make a way, look at the devil in the face and make him cower. Like Moses at the sea, call down the power.
You see, power is a dangerous thing unless it is handled carefully. It would be foolish on God's part to give just anybody power. You've got to qualify for it. And the worse life you've lived in the past, the more dramatic the demonstration. But when God changes a real bad one, that one becomes the greatest witness of all.
Yo, I'm pot committed like Vegas. You know your pastor can't say this. True man of Yah ain't no faking. He'll spew you out like you bacon. My people dropping like flies cause of that lack of true knowledge. Yah wisdom open my eyes, clear my ears of the block. My mustard seed like a mountain. He got my praise like a fountain. When that Ruach get to moving, like DC Go-Go, I'm grooving. To get where I'm at took years, through all the pain and the tears. But they got lost in my beard, just like I got lost in my fears. I don't be rocking with pride, try to stay off the humble. But sometimes I don't listen, like when these new rappers mumble. I get sparked and the demons get to shaking, like the earth when it's quaking. Cause I be praying, fasting, meditating. Y'all got you open, so listen. We breaking you out the prison of the lies that were disguised as religious propositions. position. My mind is sharp like a sword, the strongest pawn on the board. The name of Yah, not the Lord. Now do we have an accord? And when you're feeling stressed, feel the weight of the pressure. When the enemy floods you with BS, you can't measure. Raise your standard up, stand tall just like a tower. Just like Daniel in the den, call down the power. When you look at the world and all you see is the trouble, and this illusion of peace about to bust like a bubble. Just remember that the devil gon' be sour. Look in the mirror and repeat, we got the power.
The power of God attends the truth. The power of God does not attend error.